Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. How is everyone on this fine and sunny day? Hi, Kathy. Hi, Rhonda. Yes, it is sunny today in Washington. Cue the confetti, right? So that is the good news. I hope everyone is doing well this fine morning. We are going to be doing some fun scene making, a little bit of coloring, and we're going to be using some of the products from the brand new Pigfin Studios release. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Charlene, and I am here on the design team for Pigfin Studios. I go live most Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Central, and we do lots of fun projects and talk about the new release, and we talk about techniques, and we chat about whatever you're feeling like chatting about. So if you're new, definitely introduce yourself down in the comments. At the end of this live, I will be giving away the card that I create, and I will be choosing someone randomly from the comments. So if you are interested in being a part of that, definitely say hi down below. All right, you guys ready? I'm ready. Let me switch you over here to my desk. There we go. And we are going to be playing with some super cute stuff today, you guys. If any of you, I think it was last year, purchased the Giraffe kit, some of this stuff from the new release you'll recognize. Hi, Arlette. And but don't run away, because there are lots of additions that go really well with items from the kit that was released last year as well. So this is a new item. This was not part of the kit last year. This is called From Our Entire Herd, and it's all these cute little giraffes, and there are coordinating dies that are available. And then this one was part of the kit, but all the items that were part of the kit are now available for individual purchase. So there's stuff I'm not going to show you today that's also available that fits in with this kind of like Savannah, giraffes, just this beautiful theming that they've done for this month's release. And then there's separately kind of a second theme with this month's release, which is a fun birthday theme. So I'll get into that maybe next week or the week after, I'm not sure. But I wanted to focus on some of the fun giraffe themed items. So this one is called Scene Building Long Time No See Giraffe. And you have this beautiful Savannah here with this grass stamp, which is actually separate, you'll see, from the trees and bushes. And I'm not sure if we're going to use these, but I did want to show them because I think they are awesome. I thought they were so beautiful. These are some of the new Glossy A2 card fronts. This one's Where Sun Meets Land, and this one is the Savannah. And both of these coordinate really well and make for fun and quick and easy cards. And I'll probably show you that, or maybe go that route. I don't know. We'll see as we go on. If you're interested in anything that I am using today, it is linked down below in the comments, as well as in the description for the video. So we're going to get started. First and foremost, we're going to do some ink blending to create our background. And I'm going to just grab a piece of 80-pound Neenah cardstock, and I'm going to ink blend this with some yellows, or like kind of yellowy browns, which are really pretty. And then I'm going to use some blues. So I'm going to create the base down here for our kind of grounding, I guess, area, and then this up here will be our sky. So I'm going to start in here with my paper bag, which is the darkest color, and grab my brown brush here. And I'm just gonna bring this up from the bottom, work that ink into my bristles. That's gonna help prevent any kind of splotchiness on the card. And so my goal here, we'll see if it works out. I'm thinking I'm wanting to do kind of dark to light and then light to dark again, but with some blues. So we'll give this a try. We'll see how it turns out. I'm just coming up from the edge and using my brush to pick up the excess that I've got here on my glass mat. I love that about glass mats because you don't really waste anything, which is awesome. Joan, you love giraffes. I do too. They're one of my favorite animals at the zoo. I think I've talked about this on here before. There's a very pretty zoo in Seattle. It's a smaller zoo from ones that I'm used to. I'm gonna grab my yellow brush. And it's got a really beautiful giraffe area, and they have so much room in there, and I love how they've done it. It's really nice. So I'm going to bring this in from the sides now, and I'm going to blend this right into that paper bag. So we're lightening up now, you can see. I'm not going to bring it up too far because I still want to have room for my other two colors. So I'm bringing it just a little bit over that paper bag and up a little bit. I think that looks good. That's the caramel toffee. It's a really pretty color. Oh, and then I'm going to throw my ink pad because that's what we do here on our lives. And then I'm going to go into Warm Sunshine. And this one, same thing. I'm going to kind of work this into the brush. Using the same brush, I just wiped it off. And I'm going to bring that right over the top of the caramel toffee. You see this pretty gradient kind of that we have going on here? I think it's really gorgeous. These are really nice colors for a Savannah card. Blend that in. So I didn't use too much of the Warm Sunshine. And then I'm going to bring in my buttercream. You could go light to dark too if you wanted to, and then you don't have to really worry about cleaning off your brush. But I wanted to see sort of how much I was going to have of that dark on the card. So I thought it made more sense to go from dark to light. And this is a very light color, this buttercream. I'm going to bring it just along and blend it here into my Warm Sunshine. So if anybody has any questions, make sure to drop them down in the comments. I'm always happy to answer any questions you have about anything I'm doing. Hi, Linda. So do you see how we were able to kind of seamlessly blend that dark brown into the light colors? And really, the best way to blend colors like that is to, one, don't put a lot of ink on your brush. You don't need nearly as much ink as you think you need. You just need a little bit. And you can always go back in and add another layer. That's my first tip. My second tip is be patient. I'm not a super patient person in general. I am with my kiddos, but with everything else, I'm really not very patient. I'm going to bring in the caramel toffee. But I have taught myself to be patient with ink blending, because to get those real beautiful seamless blends, you just gotta, like, don't go all in at once. Go light. Don't put a lot on your brush. Work it into the bristles, and always come in from the side when you first start. Once you get some ink on the page, it's less important if you come in from the side. because you're less likely to get blotchiness. I think that looks really nice. What do you guys think? Let's see, Linda, what kind of paper are you using that it blends so smooth? This is just Nina, 80-pound solar white cover stock. It is not like a super fancy blending paper. I have found, I do a lot of ink blending. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I have found that I can pretty much blend on any kind of paper. And it's because I do those steps. I work the ink into the bristles. I don't use very much ink. And I always go in layers. I never try and get too much on there. The exception to that is if I'm working with distress oxides, because distress oxides are so easy in terms of they're very forgiving. I always recommend them for people who are first starting out with blending, because you can really just like, you can put a lot on at one time and still blend it out eventually. It's because of their like smooth, creamy consistency is really the only way I can explain it. So I'm going to set this aside. Hopefully that answered your question. And what are we going to do here? We're going to clean our area, guys. We got to clean. All right, just spray a little bit of water on here. Try and keep the squeaks to a minimum. There we go. And now we are going to do our blue. Now, generally speaking, you have to be a little bit careful if you're going to blend blue into your yellow, because you could potentially get green. I'm not super worried about it though, right? Because remember, this is the Savannah, so there might be touches of green in the area with the grass, some yellows and greens and browns. But just keep that in mind if you are blending into each other. Those two colors combined will give you a green. So you don't want to take it too far down. And that's also why when you are blending a ground scene into a sky. Oh, thank you, Linda. When you're blending a ground scene into a sky, it makes a lot of sense to start with your darkest colors on the top and bottom, and then work towards your lightest colors in the middle, because you're not going to have such a stark blend line. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, we're going to bring in some sea glass and ocean waves. These are not true blues. These are more of like aqua blue. So we'll start with the sea glass. No, just kidding. We're going to start with the ocean waves. I'm going to do the same exact thing I did on the opposite. So we're going to bring in the darker of the two, and I'm only going to use two colors. Work that ink into my brush and get it onto the paper here. I'm only going to use two colors for the sky because that is largely going to get covered by those beautiful trees in the Long Time No See stamp, the one that's kind of like the Savannah trees with the grass and stuff. So we'll bring this on and bring it down just slightly over half of that, but I'm going to get lighter as I go down. So you guys can see when I'm picking up ink, I'm literally going like that's it. I'm not working my brush in there. I just want a little bit of ink on my brush. And the more you ink blend, the more comfortable you will get with the amount of ink that you want to put on your brush and how that impacts things. There we go. Looks pretty good. Oh, I think I just grabbed the sea glass, didn't I? I don't know. I was busy talking and not paying attention. Okay, this is the sea glass. Yes, so that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Well, you can see that sea glass is very light in comparison to the ocean waves. And we're not using much at all because, again, I'm being mindful of that blend into the yellow. I don't want to get it super green. And you'll also notice that sometimes I'm swirling with my brush and sometimes I am going back and forth across the paper. Now, the reason I like to go back and forth across the paper is I feel like once I actually get the amount of ink I want on there and I don't have much left on my brush, this pulls kind of whatever is left on my brush and fills in any of those little spots that maybe I didn't hit with my brush when I was first coming in with it. I'm going to bring in a little bit more of the darker color here along the top because I want there to be a little more of a, what's the word, differential, I guess, between the two. It sounds like an automotive term, the rear differential or something like that. I don't even know what that is. I have no idea. I'm sure I've heard it somewhere. And we'll bring in a little more of this sea glass here. Now, if you've never used Picket Fence brushes, they're life-changing blender brushes, I absolutely recommend you try them. They are awesome. And you know, a lot of times people tell you, oh, all the blending brushes are the same. They're really not. Sure, I can blend with all of them. Just like I can paint kind of with any paintbrush. But how thick the bristles are, how kind of like soft the bristles are versus coarse, if they're synthetic versus a natural hair, those things all make a difference in how they blend. So I really enjoy how the life-changing blender brushes blend. I think the bristles are really soft. I really, really like how they do with things. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you guys, but with the Picket Fence brushes in particular, I use them for my dye inks as well as for my oxides and my pigments. And before you freak out, I'm going to tell you why and how I'm able to do that without any issues. So every time I'm done, I don't do it on camera, but I get a paper towel or just a microfiber cloth, anything. This is a Swedish dish towel, and I just spray a little bit of water on it. I rub my brushes off with the water, and then I dry them. And that gets it pretty darn clean every time. And you can see, like, my brushes are really in general pretty clean. And that's because I just do that quick little thing every time I'm done with a card. And then that means I can use my brushes for whatever I want and I don't get a lot of buildup on them. I used to use 2 different sets. And certainly if you're like Charlene, cleaning is not my jam, I'm not gonna wipe off my brushes every time, then I do recommend having 2 separate sets because your oxides and your pigment inks, they tend to kind of gunk up your brushes and you don't want to get that into your dye ink pads. But if you're like, yeah, 1 set of brushes is my jam and I don't want to have to deal with cleaning them and scrubbing them out all the time, then give this a try because it absolutely makes cleaning your brushes so much easier. Okay. Here's our pretty blend here. And as this dries back, it'll fade out. But we've got this nice blend from the blue to the yellow. And you can see I just barely brought in the blue here. Not very much at all because I wanted to minimize any kind of green that I got. So let's set that aside. Clean. Ooh, squeaky. This is the part where I wake you up if you're not already awake. And we're going to take a coffee drink here. Man, I love coffee. Okay. I'm going to pull out my mini MISTI here. And I'm going to get some, let's see, do I want to use Nina or do I want to use Spectrum Noir? I'm going to use the Spectrum Noir paper. I mention this a lot. If you're going to do alcohol marker coloring, that is the one thing where I will say that paper really does matter. Especially if you are new to alcohol ink coloring, I do not recommend using Nina because Nina tends to soak up the ink really quickly, and it tends to bleed out the edges of your outline of your stamp. So what I like to use is this Spectrum Noir paper when I am doing my alcohol marker coloring, and it's very, very smooth. It actually also works great for ink blending on. You could use it as like an all-around cardstock too. It's not terribly expensive. All right. Oh, hi, Yvette. Driving grandkids around, huh? Your chauffeur for today. Okay, we're gonna bring in our cute little giraffe herd. I'm excited to use this stamp set. I haven't used it yet. And I think it's so cute. I love this sentiment that's in here. I'll definitely be using the sentiment that says happy birthday from our entire herd, which I think is just adorable. I'm gonna kind of rub this with my palm. Some people do this with an eraser. You also can do it on your forearm if you want. I feel like I get more control with my palm. And that's just to help break it in because it's a new stamp and get any of the leftover oils or anything like that from the manufacturing process. Get those off of the stamp so that it will stamp better. Okay, where's my ink pad? My favorite black hybrid ink pad. So I'm going to use some black hybrid ink. This is good for watercoloring or for alcohol markers. It's good for colored pencils with Gamsol. Essentially, whatever you want to throw at it, this works well because it is a hybrid ink. It's not a dye ink or a pigment ink. It's a combination ink. So that means it does stay wet for a little bit longer. So you do need to be mindful of that if you're going to alcohol marker color, because you want to make sure that it gets nice and dry. But look how cool they look. They already look so cool. I love this stamp. Oh, they're so sweet, you guys. Back in Colorado, when I lived there, Denver has a really beautiful zoo, and we went at least once a summer, especially when the kids were little. And oftentimes that's where I wanted to go on Mother's Day because I really love going to the zoo. It's just like, it's so pretty. They're usually really well landscaped, and you go on a nice day, you get out in the sun, your kids can kind of run around and you don't have to, worry about them like accidentally running into traffic or something. Now, obviously, you still have to keep an eye on them, but it's just a nice family outing. Or even I like to go with just my husband. They sometimes do like special events, like brew at the zoo and different stuff. But the one year we went and they had baby giraffe. It was the cutest little baby giraffe. And I just wanted to stay looking at the baby giraffe. And my kids were like, come on, Mom. We've been here for like 15 minutes. And I'm like, but did you see how silly it looks? Because they really do look kind of funny when they're babies. But they're so cute. Now, because this stamp in particular is more... Like here, I'll show you guys up close. Isn't that cute? It's not your typical kind of like, here's an outline and color it in stamp. And Picket Fence is kind of known for that. They do have the outline with colored in stamps, but they also have really unique stamps like this where you could literally just go ahead and stamp this directly onto the card and not color anything, and it still would look really, really cool. But if you want to add some color in there and kind of dress it up, you still can. So I think it's a really neat style of stamp. And I'm gonna grab my my Olo color chart here and see, nope, not that one. I want the one that I colored in. Okay, here we go. And I'll show you guys. So look, this, just in case you're wondering if it's worth coloring in your own chart, if you have Olos, this is the printed one. You can see my printer does a fairly good job, but look at this is the one that I colored in, and it just gives me a much better sense of what the colors are, and you can see they look more vibrant on here than they do on the printed. Now maybe if I had a better printer, I don't know, that might change things, but I think using this is really handy. Okay, what do I want to do here? I think I want to bring kind of a YO 2.3 for my shading, which is called Butterscotch. And then I think that I want to do the color of the giraffes and maybe some Y 2.2. And because I want it a little more yellow, but the yellow orange I think will look nice for shading. So let me grab those 2.2 Y and YO 2. Nope. Is this it? Yeah, 2.3. Okay. I'm not going to do a lot of shading. This is going to be some really kind of basic coloring. Aren't they adorable, Kathy? I think they're super cute. Okay, we're going to do some basic coloring here. I'm going to get the darker shade, my Y 2.3. And the first thing I'm going to do, can you guys see? I think so. I'm going to bring the 2.3 along the jaw lines of the giraffes. And skip those ones. But this would just be where there's some natural shading. And honestly, you could just completely color these in and no one would notice if you did any shading on them. But it does add a nice little extra touch. And then for these ones where they're facing forward, I'm going to add a little bit of shading kind of going down their neck. Add a little bit of shading as well to the necks on the side profiles. Not much. Don't need much. And then I'll bring in some shading on their bellies. It's kind of hard sometimes to see. Let's see, I think right there, there, here, and here. And I think maybe no, I think that'll do. Let's add the yellow, see what we're looking at. We can always come in and add a little more shading if we want to. So this is the Y 2.2, which I'm going to bring pretty much down and through the rest of the giraffes. And I'm not doing any kind of real fancy stuff here, guys. I'm just sort of running my brush over it, over the areas that have the giraffe spots. And this would be a fun one too, where you could stamp this and then watercolor. And you could just watercolor over the whole thing. You don't have to be specific about whether you go along the edges and then cut it out with a die, because it really wouldn't matter too much if your yellow colors, your orange colors, went outside of the drafts. I'm going up his neck here. Don't worry, we'll get his legs, his and her, there, the herd's legs as well. Okay, we've got the bodies. Now I'm going to come in and just do one little straight line on the legs, just to bring it in where you have those legs. Like so. Look at their little spindly legs. This is so cute how this is illustrated. There, look, now their legs are showing up. It's kind of hard maybe to see it in there. But I think I'll add maybe a little bit orange down on their legs too. We'll see how it dries. Then I'll bring in the yellow for their heads right above the jawline. And I'm just kind of dotting. I'm not putting my marker down very much on the paper at all for this part, because these areas are so small that you're not going to really see the detail in there. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to bring back in that orange because I do want to make their little legs darker. So first I'm going to just bring it down a little bit and see kind of, yeah, I like that. So I'm going to bring the orange down about halfway over where I colored with the yellow. Just to add a little shading to the tops of their legs and to make it kind of so that they're not so bright with the yellow. There. You see that? And that's really the extent, I think, of the coloring I'm going to do in here. I might add a few little bit more dark spots here and there just to break up some of the things. I think that's probably good though. Good for what we're doing. I might bring up the orange here on some of their sides maybe a little bit, just to add some definition to their cute little bodies. There, that looks good to me. Yeah, and just that little bit of coloring, right, Arlette? I mean, it doesn't need to be much. Just a little bit here and there to give them some personality, bring them to life, as you said. Let's grab our coordinating die. And we'll line this up right over them. And this is going to make them just pop on the background. That's why I didn't just stamp them directly on there. Because you could just, like I said, stamp them directly on there. But because I've got, and that would make for a really quick card. But for my purposes for the live, I thought like it would make it almost too quick. So I wanted to be able to show you guys more techniques, right? My head's in the way. Let me pull this down. Just want to make sure we line this up nice and straight so we get a good cut here. Okay. Using my highlighter tape, which is my favorite tape in the whole world. And we're gonna clean up a little bit here because otherwise this is gonna turn into a disaster zone. And let's run this through the die cutting machine. And I'm probably gonna cut out a couple of extras of this as well. We'll see once we cut it out. I don't know if I want to use foam tape or if I want to just cut it out some extras and layer them up. So let's see what it looks like. Ooh, noisy. Sorry. Ran that into my desk. There we go. Anybody have any big plans for the weekend? We're going this weekend for our first camping trip of the season. We usually go on several. This year we don't have as many planned as usual because we've got some other trips we need to make to see family and stuff. But I'm excited to go on our first camping trip. That always makes it feel like it's summertime. So this cuts out all the little inset pieces nicely. Get my little pokey tool. Gimme. Look at our cute little giraffe herd. Isn't that cute? I love how it looks once it's cut out too. It's just adorable. Okay, let me clean this up. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. And you can see our little giraffe are gonna go right here. And look how sweet they already look. And we're not done yet with the background, but look how cute that's gonna look on there. Love it. Love it. I think I will just pop it up with some, maybe some foam tape. We'll see how we're doing on time when we get there. But this is dry, so I'm gonna bring in my, where is it? My Savannah stamp. Here it is. And this is where I wanted to show you guys these. So I'm not gonna use them, because we did our nice background. But look how cool this is. You could bring, there's a couple of different designs on here. You could bring these giraffes in and like, boom, like you have a card. Look at that. I mean, it's as easy as that. And you could cut these giraffes apart and kind of spread them out and do different things. But look how cute that is. These work so well with the stamps from this month's set. I think this is so cool. I love these. For quick cards, they are amazing. So that was the Savannah. And then this one is Where Sun Meets Land. I absolutely love, love, love this tree. Oh, that tree is so pretty. But you can add these guys in here and they look like they're in a piece of art. And here's the other two designs on this one. Isn't that pretty? With those gorgeous yellows and oranges. I really love that one. It's my favorite with the tree. Deb, that's hilarious. It's shaped like a greyhound. It's shaped like a bicycle seat. Yeah, their heads they kind of are shaped like bicycle seats. I never thought about that. Hi, Vicky. No, you set 3 timers and you're funny. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. Okay, let's bring this one back out. The Long Time No See Giraffe. And we're going to bring out our regular size MISTI for this one. So this could go horizontal or vertical on a card. So it's wide enough to go horizontal. but we're going to do a vertical. So we'll take it off the edge on there. So let's get, you can see now, this is one stamp with the trees, and then this is one stamp here with the grass, little grass details. So you could, depending on how much you want, you could stamp this in multiple different places in order to do, like, if you brought your grass way up, right, you could do several strips of grass on there to create your scene and have it go all the way through. So this should be fine because I've used this stamp before. We will, uh-oh. That's never happened. I don't know why that came out. Maybe I need to clean it. We'll see. I'll just pop it back in there. Okay. Come here, background. So I'm going to set this in the center of the MISTI so that way I have areas on either side. So that way when I bring my stamp across here, it will, and actually I'm going to kind of look with the transparency so I can see where I want to put it. Yeah, I think kind of right along where it starts really fading out is going to look nice. Pull this down so I can make sure it's straight, guys. I think that looks good enough. Move this. And I am going to go ahead and stamp, I know, at least one line of grass. I might do two. So we're going to bring this in kind of right about there. Close this up. And use our same black hybrid ink. You also could stamp this out in a brown, and you could stamp your giraffes out in a brown. If you're going to do alcohol ink coloring, I would say make sure you use a brown dye ink, because you can use any water-based dye ink to color with alcohol ink markers. Don't know if you guys know that, but you can use any color as long as it's a water-based dye ink, which is a fun technique. In particular, I like to do that sometimes when I'm coloring balloons, because then I can use like colored ink for the balloons, and it almost looks no line, but there's still a little bit more definition than you would have with just no line coloring. Look how cool. It's already starting to look so cool. Okay, let's bring this in again. Get some nice dark lines. And this would look pretty heat embossed too. Give it a little bit of shine. That would look good. I think twice is probably enough. Yeah. Okay, let's see how our little giraffes look on here. Where are we going to put them? Probably up here, maybe here. And then we'll have our sentiment along the bottom. Or we could bring them up here a little more and put our sentiment here. Decisions, you guys. Not sure what I want to do. Do I want to put another strip of grass, I guess is the question, really. What do you guys think? Strip of grass? I'm so torn. I'm so torn. Unless somebody feels really strongly about it, I'm going to skip it because I'm torn on it. Pull that out. Put this somewhere. Put that away before I stab myself, because you all know that's possible. close this before I stick my big giant thumb. Above where the trees don't look like the tops of their heads. Above where the trees... Joan says more grass and up higher. So like along here, do another line. We could do that. Like right along in here. And then have them down farther. Oh, I kind of like that too. I don't know. Let's do one more. We'll do one more. Vicki, this is where my cards start taking 4 hours. I know. This is the problem. This is why I always tell people my card style is clean and overly complicated, is because I spend so much time kind of fussing around with this kind of stuff. I'm going to move this over slightly. But I do. In particular with sequins, you guys, that's why I almost always pre-plan out my sequin placement before I do a live, because I could take 20 minutes sometimes to figure out sequin placement, which is really just silly because I almost always end up putting them in the same exact formation that I always use, which is in kind of an arrow shape. But I get kind of crazy about sequins. I don't know. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty. Good idea. I think it was Joan. Yeah, I like that better. That looks nice with that extra line of grass in there. Okay, but now we got to move on because we're running low on time. But I think, oh, I like that so much. I think they're gonna look really nice. Now, I still don't know if I want to put them here or not, or if I want them down farther. We're gonna deal with that once we get our sentiment done. Okay, for our sentiment, we are going to stamp on. We're gonna heat emboss our sentiment on some black cardstock. And yes, I have 3 stamp positioners. That makes it so I don't have to deal with cleaning my stamps during a live and putting them away. And I love them all. Stamp wheel's awesome, but the MISTI's great too. Stamp wheel I probably use the most, I would say, followed by the mini MISTI, followed by the standard size MISTI. That's probably my usage. So we're going to use that happy birthday from our entire herd stamp. And we're going to heat emboss this in white. So let me grab that. We're going to use some Wow embossing ink and some Wow opaque super fine in bright white. Oh, we need to anti-static this lovely paper. There we go. That's better. And now I am going to double stamp the embossing ink, and I'm not going to push down too hard because I want to make sure I keep those fine lines of the sentiment, make sure they don't get smooshed out. But because I've got the stamp wheel here with my sticky mat in there holding my paper in place, we can easily stamp right back into the same spot, which is so handy. Oh, Deb, yes! Paper dolls. I loved paper dolls when I was a kid. And I would spend so much time messing with them. So much time. that's kind of what part, actually, you guys, honestly, part of the reason I love doing the lives is that I am forced to not spend as much time thinking, and it makes it so that I just have to pick something and move on, which is nice. It keeps me on my toes, keeps me from overthinking things. I'm going to bring in my little flathead brush here just to sweep away any extra little embossing powder bits. It's already looks pretty good, but I'm particular and always like to try and get any little extra bits off. Okay, that looks good. Put this stuff away. So we don't knock embossing powder everywhere. And get our heat tool. Now, if you're new to heat embossing, I always recommend making sure your embossing ink pad is nice and juicy. So re-ink it often because that does make a difference in your heat embossing. And then I always recommend as well an anti-static powder tool and some kind of flathead paintbrush, or really any kind of small detail paintbrush, what works for you, so that you can sweep away any little stray bits of embossing powder. And then the last thing I recommend is making sure your heat gun is nice and hot before you bring it in to melt your embossing powder. Now you can bring it in from the back or the front. I know a lot of people that like to bring it in from the back. I like to just go ahead and start from the front. And I do a quick once over just until it starts melting. And then I will usually go back over one more time just to make sure I have hit everything. And there we have our nice, beautiful, shiny, bright sentiment. I love heat embossing. It was not my gateway into card making, though. It is for a lot of people, I came to find out. But for me, it was perfect pearls. Kind of random, but that started me down the rabbit hole. I've got the coordinating die, and we're going to grab some highlighter tape. How are we on time? We are good. I will probably add my sequins off camera after we're done. That's my guess, but I want to get the main part of everything finished for you so you guys can see it. That looks pretty good. Okay. I'm gonna run this through my manual machine because it's a little faster, and I'm going to cut a couple of these. So I've got our first one with the heat embossing. So pretty. And then I'm going to cut two more here from the same piece. You guys were probably wondering, why is she wasting all of that black cardstock? Well, haha, this is why. So I'm going to cut two additional ones to layer them up. And that will give the sentiment some dimension on the front of our card. Now, something to keep in mind every time you're making a card, which I have to remind myself of because I frequently will look at a card and I'll go, oh my gosh, this is like too busy, or I can't see what's going on here. And I have to stop and take a breath and say, oh, Charlene, take a breath. Remember that you're going to be popping some of this stuff up to add dimension. And we always say add dimension, add dimension, add dimension. But a lot of card makers don't talk about why that dimension makes a difference. Like why it's important. Well, dimension helps create perspective. It helps to break up a card. So I'm going to show you guys here. Like let's say I had this and I glued it directly on. Okay? Now just watch while you're looking at it. I'm going to pull it up. Do you see how it makes a difference? Flat. Pull it up. It brings more attention to the giraffes because they are separated literally by space in between them and the paper behind them. So the dimension creates perspective. It makes it look like that's the Savannah in the background and the giraffes are coming out towards you. And it makes it so that your card doesn't look as busy, which is really handy. So I'm going to bring in here my, what do I want to use here? I don't want them to be popped up too much, and we're kind of going towards the end of our hour here. So I'm just going to bring in some thin foams. Oop. I'm gonna fall out of my chair is what I'm gonna do, you guys. I'm just gonna bring in some thin foam squares here and add these along the back of our giraffes here and there to make it a little bit easier on myself. And I might hold off here on adding this to the card front right away. Let's see. Because I did want to add one other detail which I think would look really cool, but now I'm waffling on it, you guys, now that I'm live and everything's looking so good. I'm not sure. Has that ever happened to you guys where you have an idea and you're like, oh, that's gonna look so cool, and then as you are getting into the card and you're really liking how it's looking, you start worrying that what you thought was an awesome idea is going to potentially mess up your beautiful card that you've already created. That happens to me a lot. And then I have to spend time overthinking whether or not I want to risk what's already looking like a pretty card for whatever my ideas are. Okay. Yeah, their little heads up here are kind of tiny. Little tiny giraffe heads. If you guys don't have non-stick scissors, they are the greatest invention ever, in my opinion. I never knew I needed them until I got a pair, and they are amazing when it comes to foam tape and things like that. So good. They make it so easy. Okay, I think we're good there. So now you'll be able to see, look at how cool they look. See how they're kind of popped up? We have that nice dimension. Let's glue together our sentiments. Grab our glue press up here. So here was the idea that I was thinking. So new this month we have the liquid fire orange paper splatter, which is this beautiful orange color. And I was kind of thinking to splatter down here on the base with just a few dots. I'm going to skip it, but I still think it would look really cool. And I'm going to use this on another card, maybe next week, so I can show it to you guys. But it's this shimmery, beautiful, kind of lightly burnt orange, I would say. It's called Liquid Fire Orange. Very pretty. That would look pretty if you put some water and did like kind of a wet wash on your card. That would look really nice too with some watercolor paper. Okay, let's layer these up here. Move this out of the way. The other thing that we have, oh, the glue press is back in stock, by the way, you guys, over on the website, if you were waiting on ordering one. It is back in stock. And again, everything I'm using is in the supply list that is in the comments, and it's also in the description to the video. Those are affiliate links, which means I earn a very small commission on anything you guys pick up through the link, and I of course appreciate that very, very much. Helps me to bring you these awesome lives. I think they're awesome anyway. I don't know. Maybe you guys might think differently. Let me see what I'm missing over here in the comments. Joan, yeah, that spot worked out perfectly, right? Oh, Deb, yeah, it's, you know, going live, it's different for sure. And something always goes wrong inevitably, so you just have to be ready for that no matter what. Oh, look how that ties that together, you guys. Doesn't that look good? You've got the black from the black cardstock here, tying in with your black trees here. Ooh, yum, yum, yum. This is gorgeous. All right, we've also got this month, Friends in Tall Places is the name of this one. Oh, I don't have the tape off of here yet. Hold on. Come in. There we go. And this has all these beautiful sequins that, let's try not to, what am I missing? Is there more tape on here? No, it's just user error. Why won't it open? Hold on. I'm probably gonna get sequins everywhere, you guys. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I open these all the time with no problem. Ah, there we go. Okay, I didn't get them everywhere yet. But this has like yellows and kind of like some browns and golds and almost like a purpley red, but it's like a deep purple. Works really, really well for any of these Savannah or Giraffe related cards that you would make with the release. So I'm probably going to add a couple of these around on the card. I'm not going to do it right now because I could spend forever figuring it all out, but I did want to just kind of show you guys how they look on the card. There, aren't those pretty? So here is our 99% of the way finished card. I'll finish it up off camera, but you can see our cute little giraffes, our nice little sentiment, and I know this is a birthday sentiment. I wanted to show this, and I am going to send this out. I haven't glued the sentiment down yet because I was kind of thinking that I might change the sentiment out off camera, because you also have your uniqueness is my favorite part of you, and I wish we were neighbors or at least lived on the same continent. Super cute. And these long time no see mate, hello mate, sending wild birthday wishes. We might be a long way from each other, but we are always close at heart. So there's other stuff for sure that works well that's not birthday themed. So I think I might change it out. I don't know. I usually don't write directly on the inside of the card when I send these out anyway. So maybe I'll leave this so that whoever receives it could use that for a birthday card if they wanted to. So speaking of that, if you showed up at the live late, hi, thanks for coming. First and foremost. And secondly, I'm going to give away this card. I'll finish up the last few details and I'm going to mail it to somebody. Happy mail. This is open in the US and international. I do have international stamps. I have no idea how long it will take to get to you, but I do have them. So if you are interested in getting some happy mail, go ahead and drop a comment down below real quick. I'll give you just a second here to do that, and I'll pick somebody's name from the comments and get you a card. Get you a card. Let me see while we're doing that. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Joan. You guys are so sweet. Thanks, Deb. You guys are awesome. Thank you, you guys. Yeah, Deb, isn't it gorgeous? Like, I think it's just really, really well done. I love it. It's unique, but it's very, very pretty. Okay, ready? I'm gonna close my eyes. I'm gonna scroll back and forth. I'm gonna pick somebody. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What do we have? Linda Gorman. Yay! All right, Linda. Send me an email at my personal email, which is contact@dreamcraftcreate.com, with your address if you would like me to send this lovely card to you in the mail, and I will get that out to you. Okay? Thanks, guys, for joining me on this lovely Tuesday. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day and rest of your week. I'll be back again next Tuesday at 12 o'clock Central, and I can tell you guys all about our camping trip shenanigans. I'm sure somebody will get injured, someone will get bit by a million mosquitoes, probably me, but it should be fun. So again, thanks, guys. I appreciate you all, and I will see you again soon. Bye.